22. Continuing in the fruit of the Spirit. We went through nearly all of them. We'll probably close it out next week. But we're going to continue on today. Galatians 5:22. When you get there, if you would, please stand for reading the Word. Galatians 5:22 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law." It's the Lord's Prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you right now. I ask that you just bless this service, Lord. Lord, we ask that you just move in a mighty way, that each one of us, our lives will be touched so special today, Lord. Lord, today I ask that you just speak through me, Lord, today, that I just hide behind the cross, Lord, that you give me strength, and today your word be heard. In your precious name we pray. Everybody says, amen, amen and amen. Lord. So today, last few weeks, we've talked about love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. We went through and talked about what they mean, how we as Christians are supposed to seek after these things. And today we're going to talk about goodness. Goodness is something that is very, very important. It epitomizes Christ, but sometimes it's so hard to do, so hard to show. The paradox of the world we live in is one of extremes. We can see the very worst the world has to offer at times, can't we? We can see the very, very worst. And we can see the very, very best that the world has to offer. That people, the very best of people. And sometimes we can see them in the same event. I think to 9/11. What a horrible event. I remember where I was. Everybody here, if you're very old, probably remembers exactly where you were when that happened. That great event, and we've seen some of the worst that humanity has to offer. Wickedness, evil, just out to attack, to destroy, and kill. But in that same moment, we've seen some of the best out of people. Did we not? We've seen people running back into buildings to save people. We've seen people giving their homes, giving their money, whatever it took. I think of Katrina. We've seen some of when Katrina happened, they showed, and you've seen some of the worst in people, looting, breaking into homes and whatnot, but then you also seen some of the best in people. And I just think today that we live in a world that can be extreme like that. My dad said something funny this week. Instead of saying the news, he said, "Well, I'm watching the bad news." He just called it the bad news. It can be that way a lot of times. It can be bad news. Just awful, doom, despair. Then they'll show a squirrel scope, like skiing on the back of a boat for about 5 minutes before they close it out. A little snippet of something fun, but most of the time it's just real negativity and whatnot. But what we got to realize is this: we can't handle life like the world handles life. Right? We can't handle problems, situations, circumstances the way that the world handles them. The world likes to do something that I like to call evil for evil a lot of times. If somebody does something bad to you, I'm going to do something bad right back. Get you back. I got to get them back. I got to revenge. We like to use that word revenge. But that's something different. Even in the face of adversity, Jesus treated people with goodness and kindness, did he not? Are y'all with me this morning? Even in the worst of times, Jesus still treated people very good. Jesus didn't do like a lot of us would like to do. Or I'll just say like I'd like to do sometimes when I don't get my way, like throw a little tantrum. When I woke up this morning not feeling good, I was kind of ill. I didn't like it. I was aggravated. About church and whatnot, and here I'm feeling bad. But Christ didn't do that when things were wrong, because Christ's way was right? So when things didn't go his way, which would have been wrong, he didn't blow up and say, "You dummies, what's wrong with you?" He didn't freak out and yell at them and show out, and he always remained kind. He always remained good. He always showed love. Whatever way that is, we talked about, there's lots of different ways to show love, but he always showed goodness. I believe that's so important for us today. Like I said, he did not fly off the handle when he didn't get his way. What is goodness, you may ask? I looked up Old Webster. This isn't a Christian or anything. I looked up in just the basic dictionary, and I found out what goodness is. Goodness is moral excellence, it's virtue, kindly feelings, kindness, generosity, excellence of quality. And I love this. It's the best part of anything. That's what goodness is, the best part of anything. When you break down the flavors of goodness, Do you not get a perfect picture of Christ? The absolute perfect picture of Christ. Turn with me to 1 Thessalonians 5:15, if you will. 1 Thessalonians 5:15. I'm going to read this real quick. Before I read it, let's go with kind of a background here. This is Paul writing to the church. And the prior 14 verses to where we're fixing to read, he's talking about the second coming of Christ. He's encouraging them. This church is facing extreme peril. They're being attacked. They're in agony. They're being persecuted every turn. And Paul writes them and begins to build them up. Begins to tell them, hey, there's a better day coming. He begins to encourage them. He begins to lift them up. They're down. They're out. Can I tell you something? And this is kind of a side note, but it's so true. And I was going to save it for next week, but I just feel the Lord leading me in this. The modern church in America has kind of, I don't want to say the modern church, but people, or maybe a culture, I don't know what you want to call it, but they've kind of belittled people coming to church and gathering in church. They've kind of, let on like that. I've heard a lot of people say, well, church ain't the important thing. People are the church, And they've kind of, and I agree with that. When the church, each of us here are the church. But let's not ever belittle what coming together really means and what it is. It's a big thing. Amen. There was people that gave their lives so that they could come together. Everything they had was energy just to come together and worship together. There's people in other countries today that are going to sneak around where they live just to come together and have a little Bible study, a little prayer meeting. It's important. Yes. It's very important. God said, don't forsake the fellowship of others. Right. Come together. Let's not ever let that be something that becomes just, if it's convenient. If it's convenient, I'll try to pray today. If it works out in the schedule. If it's convenient, I'll try to crack open the Bible before I go to bed tonight. If it works out, That should be something that is a priority. Always. It should always be a priority in our lives. But here we see that these people, like I'm talking about, they're giving their safety. They're giving all they have just to try to come together as a group and worship Christ. And they're being persecuted. Persecuted. Terrible things are happening. And Paul writes and says, hey, keep your head up. And he encourages them that there's a better day coming. He teaches them on the second coming of Christ. And then he says this, and I think this is so important for us today in the time that we live. If everyone can learn something from this right here, but he says this in the middle of all that encouragement. He says this, make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong, but always try to be kind to each other and to everyone else. Ain't that powerful? In everything that they're going through. They're being arrested. I read a deal that talks how their houses were burnt down, their farms were attacked. They were attacked by everything. In every part of their life. Their financial status would be taken away from them. Their families, their freedom, anything. When they got found out who they were persecuted for it. Attacked. You're talking about evil. And Paul says, hey, we don't react that way. That's not how we respond to things. Today, in the world that we live, it's real easy to be able to snap back at somebody for doing something back to us, isn't it? That's the easy thing to do. It's just to come right back at them. Paul, filled with the Spirit, influenced by Christ, says that's not the way to do it. Can I tell you that I believe the most important decisions we make are the ones we make right after we're wrong. I believe those are the most important decisions we make. Are they going to be ones of self? Are they going to be ones of revenge? Are they going to be ones of anger, of fear? Are they going to be of goodness, of kindness, of self-control, of love? Are they going to be fruits of the Spirit? In chapter 5 there, Paul reminds us that we are, as Christians, children of light. Galatians 6:9 says, so we must not get tired of doing good, for we will reap at the proper time if we don't give up. And that's the Common English Version. I think that's so cool how it says that. We will reap at the proper time if we don't give up. When it's hard to return evil with good, always look at Christ. That's kind of like the ultimate humbler, put you on the straight and narrow, is just remember what Christ done. Beaten, spit on. You're talking about the ultimate persecution. The worst of the worst. We can't imagine that. We can kind of feel like sometimes, as Christians, we've got it pretty tough. And there are times in life, in our life, where we are persecuted, where we we are targeted, but we've never experienced it like Christ did. Nobody's ever taken me out in the front yard and beat me up because I'm a pastor of church. That's happened other places all over the world, but I don't have to experience that yet. Nobody's attacked my family. We've not seen that. We've not ever turned the corner and said, well, I hope our church ain't burned down. We don't do that. Pretty blessed in that area, aren't we? But Christ experienced the ultimate persecution. He experienced it. He was beaten, he was bruised, he was attacked. And what's some of the final things he did? His actions. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's goodness. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Looks to the man and says, I'll see you in heaven. You notice that he doesn't throw condemnation on the other guy. He just looks and blesses the one that recognized him. That's goodness. That's goodness. That's what Christ showed at the worst, very worst hour, I believe, in human history. So how much should I show to the people that don't know what they do, that are attacking me? What should I do to the Christians? Listen to this. Sometimes bad stuff, sometimes it's between Christian and Christian. Is it not? That's sometimes the hardest stuff to handle. Well, they should know better. I can't believe they did that. The next thing you know, you got all-out war. I've seen churches split. I've seen families split because a couple people who were supposed to love the Lord and be on fire for God got into it, and everything went bad. Well, what do? I don't care who does you wrong. It says to everyone, show goodness, show kindness, return evil with good. Praise the Lord. What is our purpose? I just wrote this week. I just wrote down, what is our purpose? Is it to get ahead or to be an ambassador for Christ? What is our purpose? Is it to gain or is it to give? Teddy Roosevelt, big Teddy Roosevelt guy. President, I did a paper on him. I plagiarized a paper on him when I was a senior in high school. And the guy that I took it from did a really good job on it. It was really good. I've liked him ever since. It's under the blood. I can talk about it now. But he said this, you can accomplish more with kindness, or you can accomplish with kindness things that force could never touch. And I believe that to be so true. Now, this guy, I don't know Theodore Roosevelt, what I've read about him is that he was a kind of burly guy. He was a football player, a big avid hunter. He was a man's man. He boxed in college. He'd been a guy that would have thought he'd been a guy all about force. But in his time of leadership, he was a big Christian. I read about that. He loved the Lord. He said, kindness will fix things. Will get you places that force cannot even think about. Ain't that powerful? How powerful is that? That's big time. Praise the Lord. You are like my hero. Oh, Lord. I read another deal on him. It said that he was beginning his campaign for presidency. And he said he had this one guy that wrote for a rival paper to who he was kind of buddies with the guy he was running against. And he said he constantly was just after him. So he was always asking him questions, trying to trip him up, always trying to do things that were trying to make him look bad. And he said one day he was on his way home from a place and he seen him. He said, back then a lot of people had to walk and whatnot, and reporters, that wasn't a glamorous job as it is today. But he said he seen him. He said he was pushing his bicycle. It was dark, cold, pushing his bicycle and walking along the road there. And he said he told his buddy, he said, "Hey, stop," or his driver, "Stop. We're gonna let him ride with us." He said the guy nearly wrecked. He said, "What? You're gonna pick him up?" He says, "You know who that is? This guy has done everything he can to make you look bad. Make sure you don't gain what the presidency. Make sure you don't win." He said, "Pick him up. It's cold." He said, "I don't want to see anybody walking like that." He said he stopped and he said, "Get in." And the rider said, "I don't want no problems." And right off the bat, he said, "This ain't good." He said, "I don't want any problem." He said, Mr. Roosevelt said, "Just, get on in." He said, "I'm going to take you where you need to go." He said, "I don't want to see you get cold." And he said, in the deal I read, it said, he never quit writing about Mr. Roosevelt. He That didn't sway the guy's opinion of him. He still stuck with the other guy. He still was a rider for him. But he said he never challenged his integrity or his character because he knew better. Today, listen to me, people. We may not be able to sway somebody's opinion. We may not be able to. But you know what? That one thing we need to be able to say is they should never be able to say is, well, they're mean people. Or, well, they're vindictive. They may say, hey, I don't agree with how they live. I don't believe in Jesus. They may still say those things. There was people that met Christ that still didn't, the Pharisees still didn't buy in. But you know what? They couldn't find fault in his character. They could not find fault in his morals. They could not find fault because he just showed goodness. And that's what we need to be as Christians. You know what? We may not be able to, there may be people that we can't win the argument with. They may just, their heart might be too hard. They're just not going to listen. But you know what? That's not going to change how I treat them. The goodness we show them. At the end of the day, they're not going to say, I'm so from Swift and First. I may not agree with them, but you know what? They got good character. They're friendly to me every time I see them. I may not agree with everything, with what they say. Whatever there is, I was raised differently or whatever. But you know what? They've always been nice. They've always been good. Praise the Lord. That's something powerful in that. That's something that we kind of just talk about. That seems kind of like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be good. You learn that from kindergarten, be good to people. But there is really power in that. And in the world we live in, we can get away from it. I'm going to close with this. Like I said, I told y'all you can get out early. Everybody say amen right now. Amen. The path of goodness requires a new area of focus. Focus on others versus focusing on myself. It's easy to pursue me, but is it good? I said it's easy to pursue me, but is it good? 1 Thessalonians 5:15, I'm going to read it one more time. Make sure that nobody pays back wrong at all, but always try to be kind to each other and to everyone else. He said it starts with each other. Be good with each other. Make sure today you may feel bad. You may have lots of things going on in your life, but make sure that you show the love of Jesus to everybody you encounter. And you know, like I said, that's so simple but so powerful. And make sure you show the love of Jesus to people out there that may not care a thing about hearing about Him, may not care a thing about any of this that we've got, this great thing we've got going on. They may not care about any of that. But you know what? When they encounter you, they ain't going to help but encounter Jesus. Yeah. Amen. Praise the Lord. Let's all stand up.